afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are, everyone. I'm Brian Owens, Calgary International Film Festival's Artistic Director. I want to welcome you to day 4 of the festival and our third virtual behind-the-screen event in conversation with the young filmmakers. Our moderator today is Ingrid Vargas. She's a Calgary-based writer, director, and producer, and she is going to be leading this conversation with our guests. Ingrid, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today I have Weston Snider, Lije Morgan, and Wolfhard, and we're going to talk about being young and making movies.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start. Okay, so Weston made DICHROME, which won the Alberta Spirit Prize. Lije made INTERDIMENSIONAL PIZZA PUSHERS, which was a very fun animation, and Finn did Night Shifts, just so you know what their movies are. So I'll start with my first question. For Lije, what inspired Interdimensional Pizza Pushers?
Well, the film was my thesis film at Parsons, and so I knew I wanted to do an animation, but aside from that, I didn't really know anything that I wanted to do. It could have been stop motion, it could have been digital animation, it could have been hand-drawn, it could have been 3D. And I just felt so overwhelmed by all of these options and not really feeling like I had a specific style because I liked using all of these mediums. I decided to just choose an idea that would allow me to explore a bunch of different mediums or dimensions, if you will. So that's why we have the characters going in and out of dimensions and changing mediums throughout the animation. Just a cheap way to get me to be able to play with all the mediums that I wanted to.
Lovely. What inspired the honey bear character? He looks like a honey bear.
This might not be too satisfying of an answer, but I went into one of those sensory deprivation chamber tank things where
that is interesting. That's 100% interesting. I thought you were gonna be I just liked honey. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
So I went in this tank and I was kind of weirded out by it, but my mom and her boyfriend decided to take me to a tank after work one day, and so I went with them. And I was floating there, and I have pretty horrible insomnia, and I kind of just realized that it felt like I was just lying in bed trying to go to sleep at night. And I think this would be an amazing experience for someone who isn't alone with their thoughts every night for hours on end. But I just got really bored, so I decided to start thinking about my thesis and what I would do. And randomly, sure enough, while I was floating there, this honey bear character popped into my head along with this fish. Yeah, I don't really have much more of an explanation for it other than that.
No, that's great. I have another question for you. So you're an animator, and I feel like live action narrative filmmaking and animation they're a genre of film, but they're two separate beasts. So how does the collaboration process work? Are you doing all the animation, or do you have a team? If you could expand on that.
Right. I love to work with people, but I'm also very particular about my work. So I kind of have a hard time working with people at the same time, which is why I love animation, because it lets me be in control of pretty much everything. Definitely a control freak, I would say. And so, yeah, I love collaborating with people. And so some of my best friends are also my favorite musicians. And so I have the unbelievable opportunity to collaborate with them whenever I want, which is just amazing. And they'll do music for my shorts and my animations, which is awesome. And that's what happened there. And so that process with the music was kind of I would give them a song for inspiration, and then they would give me something back, and then we would just kind of go back and forth and tweak it until we were both really happy with it. And then lining the animation up to the music and syncing everything up, also working with musicians there. And then I don't know if we have the clip ready, but there was a clip from the short where I decided I wanted to collaborate with all of my favorite artists and friends who are artists. So I decided to have all of the style changes happen like every second or so.
We can bring him a clip up if you want.
Yeah, that would be
everyone.
perfect.
Yeah, let's do
that
it.
was by far my favorite part of working on this project, just because I got to see my characters and my animation in everyone else's style. And getting to collaborate with them and animate their illustrations was, definitely my favorite part of the project.
Beautiful.
Okay, how many deliveries do we have left? What? How is that possible? All right, looks like we got about 30 seconds to make all these deliveries. Hold on tight and let her rip.
Yeah, it was such a delightful and lighthearted film to watch. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right. Finn and Weston, you both come from acting backgrounds. How does that affect your filmmaking practice? And is that what made you want to pursue directing in particular?
Well, I'm not really sure. I think it's easier to direct actors, because sometimes when you're acting on a set, you, I don't know, it's like, you know how an actor thinks, kind of, if you're actually one of them. And so sometimes it's easier to get your point across for a performance to an actor because you speak that kind of language. But I don't know, I wasn't in my short and Weston was. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think it probably makes it easier, I would say.
Do you think you'd ever direct yourself in something, or would
Totally. I think so. I think for this short, I just I wrote it for people that were older than me. So that's kind of the only thing that was holding me back from being in it. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff I've been writing now after post short film has been even with me in a smaller part has involved me being a different part. But I think that's in my opinion, I think there's there's billions of people in the world. I think there's a lot more characters and people that are more interesting than I am, you know what I mean, to cast and to direct. So I don't think, I don't think I'm drawing the line at me, having me and be in everything. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when I was really a lot younger, when I was whatever I could remember, 4, 5, 6, I wanted to be a filmmaker. Before I was an actor, and I'm sure it's the same for Weston. I'm not sure what he can speak to that, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's actually interesting because I've done acting, but I actually really haven't done it that much. Really kind of where that understanding has come from for me has been in my community, because it's actually it's a tiny theater town. So I've been around, my next door neighbors are actors. Everyone I know is in some way connected to storytelling and theater and stuff. And I've gotten some great times to practice acting and stuff, that's certainly something I'm really trying to be intentional about, is getting myself in spaces where I have to be an actor so that I can understand that side for then directing people in the future. But yeah, for me, it's always kind of been wanting to direct and stuff. And even with my project, I didn't write it for me to act in it. I was I was writing it, and then when it was I knew I wanted to make it that summer, and I wasn't finding anyone who could play the character, so I just had to jump in and do that along with all the other hats I was wearing. But yeah, it's definitely I think a really important part of being a director. Understanding film is understanding what it's like to be that person.
Beautiful. Okay. Speaking of being directors, what inspires you guys to tell the stories you're telling currently?
Watching movies. I know that's a really basic answer, but that's, if I see it, that's what inspires me to write things are sometimes it's people that I meet or characters or whatever. And but I mean, the thing that like makes me want to make movies are other movies for sure.
What movies inspired Night Shifts in particular?
Well, Clerks was like a huge one for me. Kevin Smith's Clerks, just because like it's dialogue based. The whole thing is dialogue based, and like it's one location in a convenience store. And so I was like, oh, you know, I thought that was an interesting thing. But then I wanted to add a kind of like undertone of serious, like a serious situation, but with two characters that are super in over their heads and like really like aloof and dumb and young and like really like misguided. So like Wes Anderson plays a huge role in that, and like Spike Jonze, and yeah, I mean, I don't know, I think but also, you know, like stuff like dialogue, like, I love like, I mean, I love all film. Like I can watch really indie stuff and, you know, go back to John Cassavetes like movies and stuff, but I could also love like Seth Rogen, like Pineapple Express and, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I think it's like it's like just a bunch of things coming together, and inspirations that I have from like over the years.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Lije and Weston?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Like, as soon as I see something that I like that someone else has made, my immediate thought is, damn, like, I wish I could have made that. So, yeah, I mean, I would say that's a huge inspiration, is seeing other work, other, like, animation, other illustration that I really like, and artists that I follow on Instagram, always posting work, definitely has me wanting to keep up with that. But I would say largely, like more recently, a lot of my inspiration has been coming from people watching and just getting mannerisms from people, and like seeing people down the street, especially in New York, which is where I'm at right now. There's just like so many stories happening on every block of the city at like any moment. And that might sound cheesy, but you can just like take a sketchbook and I can look out my window and just make up stories about anyone walking down the street. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're true. So why not turn those into stories for like other people to see? So, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I think for me, yeah, I totally like fell in love with cinema or just and movies. Seeing movies gets me really excited about making movies. But yeah, totally too, like, because especially for now, like I've spent like the last year writing all sorts of different things, and kind of trying to learn about even getting ideas for stuff. Like, it really kind of can sometimes hit you out of nowhere. You just have to be ready for and looking for it. And the things too, like, yeah, totally people, the characters I see in the people that I meet, even just like I'm still in school, like some of the things that my classmates do are things that I could end up replicating, things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think at least for this project, and for other projects, I've kind of noticed I'm really drawn to kind of moments in film where you realize that was really the reason that person wanted to make the project. Like a moment where kind of everything clicks, and it's the most powerful moment of the film, and things like that. Like creating those moments, because I think they're super powerful, and that's part of what gets me most excited.
Films are incredibly hard to make. They kind of feel like a miracle. What keeps you motivated to keep pursuing them? I feel like we're all crazy if we're making movies because they feel impossible and they break your heart. But like, what keeps you going?
I would say like making, like collaborating and thinking about like, and just seeing the end product, I think like is even if it didn't turn out how you wanted it in the first place, it ends up becoming something, and it becomes addicting. I think like it's really addicting. That's how I could probably describe like being on set and directing and, making anything. It's like once you pull something off, it's like, oh my God, I can do this. And then you just think about, okay, what's the next thing I can do? And yeah, I don't know. I think that's like the thing. I mean, especially also with shorts too. Shorts, like, you know, we could do awesome stuff like this, but it's, you know, it's not like these are big box office draws. You know what I mean? There's nothing like, we all funded I mean, you know, I was really lucky that I had a platform already to like crowdfund it, and get like a crew together that I knew, and like, you know, whatever, like, but I mean, you could really make a film. I mean, you know, Sean Baker made Tangerine on an iPhone with some lenses and friends, and like, you can make a film however if you can make a film however you can, and you like pull it off, like that's a win. So I think that's the thing that's like most addicting about it.
Totally. This is for you, Finn. So, like, having worked with the likes of directors like Rebecca Thomas and Jason Reitman, like, what have you learned from those experiences?
I think that's like why I think I've like I think I'm like very privileged, because I've worked with some amazing directors and learned firsthand, and you know, I don't have to go to film school for it, you know, and I'm lucky. You know, I have tons of friends who go to film school and love it and are learning firsthand through there. But I kind of did it through a different angle, and still doing it from a different angle. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing. You get to just wake up and like, it's almost like you're shadowing someone without them knowing, kind of like you're just kind of watching them in their every move. And Jason Reitman was actually the person that told me to make night shifts. I like, you know, he knew that I wanted to be a filmmaker, so I was coming up to him with ideas for shorts, and I came up to him and one day, and it was a really convoluted, insane short idea that I had, and he just said, why don't you just make a movie in one location with two characters talking? Like, you know, you could tell a fun story with that, make it like 5 pages and just do it and show that you can make a film, but it have, you know, a small anecdote and two characters. And so I wrote the short on that.
Nice. Lije, the audience has a question for you. And it was, what was your favorite animation style that you used out of all the animation styles you used in your short?
Oh, that's a good question, because I would say, even though I made this short to like play around with styles, I didn't find my current style until making the thumbnail for the short, which was when I took part of the 2D section and I overlaid it on the 3D section. And I was like, oh my God, this is super cool. And so that's my style now, like 2D on top of 3D. But I would say, while actually making the short, I never want to do claymation again. I definitely know that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's parts in the thing that look amazing and look really cool, but I'm sure it's like absolutely like just because like there's a difference between like really easy, you know what I mean, like really easy fun, and like also that stuff that looked the best but also like sucked to do.
Right. Yeah. It's thank you. Yeah, but it's. Maybe I would do claymation again with like a studio.
Right. Yeah.
Never again by myself in my basement. And so, yeah, I would say probably like the 2D hand-drawn stuff was the most fun, just because I got to watch a lot of Pokemon as homework and like take notes on how they like, kind of cheat the animation and do quick swipes and stuff. And yeah, so I had a really great time with the 2D section, I would say.
Amazing. Weston, so you were DP, director, producer, and the main actor in your short, and you did an excellent job at all of them, but like, other than directing, what else would you want to focus on out of those things?
Like going forward? Yeah. It's been interesting because I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, I think where my heart ultimately most lies though is in like story and being in the person who's taking care of the story ultimately. And that kind of seems like directing, but I would love opportunities to get to go and like be a cinematographer for people. I haven't really made like another big short for a while. And so I haven't really gotten to go and be really concentrated on getting to think about cinematography, but I love it and I've learned so much about it. And I think kind of director cinematographer is kind of where I sit, but maybe if I, like later on, if I ever have any money and really good people to work with, I could help produce and stuff too. But yeah.
Cool. We're gonna cut to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna ask, what did you shoot it on? Because it looked like really good. Was it a Black Magic? What did you shoot it on?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I shot it on. I own a Panasonic GH5, and then there's also we had a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So yeah, it was shot on
They're
both.
Super
of those.
nice.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's
really good.
We'll cut to a clip of it so everyone can see exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at my water barrel, freak?
That's because whenever I start, you cut me off. I'm not cutting you off. You are exactly cutting me off. Right there, right now, right there.
We're not actually talking about anything right now.
Yes, we are. We are talking about the fact that you are not letting me finish what I was trying to say earlier. It is important, and all you do...
Fine.
Fine?
Yeah,
Okay,
you just tell me what you're saying is important and
Cool. How did you do that shot? That with the was that like a golf cart or a dolly going back, and then you pulled through the window? What did you do?
Yeah, through the window shot. Yeah, actually, that's probably the shot I'm most proud of in the entire film, because I always knew, like, at the beginning, I wanted there to be like a physical transition between the characters where we actually felt like the camera move. And I thought it'd be great. We could go through a window and it'd be an actual like change of worlds. So what it was we had the camera on a gimbal and just starting and moving backwards. And then we got right up to, I think what we did is we took out the window. So then we got, as we got really close to the side of the building, we handed the gimbal up and through the window. And then we cut to another shot. It was actually on a different day. But we cut to another shot, starting with the lens right next to the window. And
Wow.
then out.
It looks super seamless.
Yeah, thanks. That's actually, I give kudos to my brother Donovan for doing the visual effects. It's like a really good
That's
white.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, of course.
Finn, I knew you brought up like color just while we were talking.
Yeah.
But I just had a question for both of you, which was like, both of your films have a very distinctive color correcting kind of thing going on. Like Weston, your film feels like very warm and like dry, and Finn, yours is like a lot cooler. And I was just like wondering, like, I can definitely get it for the environments, but why you guys chose to do that color correcting for your films?
That's an awesome question. To me, the comedy of it was to make it look like a true crime, like Zodiac, but have it be completely ridiculous. To me, like, that's what I think is really funny, like overtly funny. And like I mentioned Pineapple Express before. Pineapple Express is a really beautifully shot film directed by David Gordon Green, who before he shot Pineapple Express, he made these incredible, like really beautiful indie movies on 35 millimeter called like George Washington, and he made a bunch of indies. And Pineapple Express is shot like an old 70s like action movie, with these cool yellow orange color palettes and like in the woods and stuff and lots of greens. So I always thought that there was like overtly there was comedy in making something completely opposite. So that was more of like and also I wanted to make it look like I shot it on 30. Like I wanted to put some grain, but I wanted it to have grain to make it have like a 35 millimeter feel. But we shot it on digital, and I didn't want to put so much grain in it where everyone was like, oh, this is like, he's trying to make it look like film. Like, it's really annoying. But I wanted to put some stuff in there.
Oh, awesome. totally
Yeah.
answer the question.
My thing was, it was interesting because actually doing it now, I would probably do it a little bit differently. I would probably try and have it be a little bit more neutral or just more colorful, because then there's a larger contrast between the stuff that's kind of in black and white and the stuff that's in color. But doing it, I was really interested by, well, it's like I shot it in summer, and I really wanted to convey kind of the sense of atmosphere, or will create an atmosphere basically for it. Something that I think you said it really well, something that was kind of really warm and kind of dry. Kind of those summer days where you sit outside and you see your summer whizzing past you. And I don't know, like it was kind of, those are just part of it, as well as the fact that I knew that part of it was going to get shot at golden hour. So it kind of really complemented that, as well as then kind of the contrasting colors between kind of a green and a bluish for some of the character design, I knew would play into that well. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I totally got that feeling. They both look fantastic. So.
Oh, thanks.
Oh yeah, and I just have to say, Finn, like I love the fact that you got to shoot on anamorphics.
Dude, I was so lucky. My DP Cole Graham, who's like incredible, who I've done a bunch of stuff with, he like, luckily him and Adam, who was one of the producers, had like a good hookup with Panavision that gave us a good discount on their anamorphics. And that was a really like, I really wanted to go anamorphic and not spherical to make it look as like, cinematic as possible, I guess.
Yeah, we'll cut to that clip just to show everyone what we're talking about.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Empty the register. Now!
Okay, I'm under the thing. Just please don't
Get
shoot
up
me.
and empty it!
Okay.
Dude, just please don't shoot me. Don't shoot me.
Really?
Cartoon? Oh my god. Dude, can you believe it's been 4 years since you graduated?
It's been a minute, huh?
You still driving that sick-ass BMW?
Oh man, that thing was a beast. I'm actually riding a bike these days. I sold it to Elijah to pay rent.
Yeah, what's Elijah up to?
I don't know. I think last time we...
Wait, I'm sorry, you came to rob this place on a bike?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to be more environmentally conscious. Just trying to do my part. Anyway,
5 seconds. That's cool. We're back. Awesome. Do you want to expand on that thing?
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, well, yeah, no, I like Weston was asking me off camera, like what we used camera wise, and we got like a really sweet deal on some anamorphics from Panavision and an Alexa Mini. So we were like very happy with that. And Cole just kind of called in all of his favors, just all of his friends who owned gear. Dolly, we got a dolly from a guy that we knew, and yeah, it was like super kind of team go. We had like a few hours in a convenience store. I think we started at like right when sun went down, so that was I think like 5:30, and we went until like 2:30 in the morning. And it was super fun, and I'm glad that I think that was the hardest shot to pull off for sure, the very first whip pan shot, because that had a lot of more moving pieces. And that was the first thing we did. So I think that's why it ended up took shorter, is because we started with the hardest thing and then went and did like coverage and stuff.
Sweet. I have some audience questions if you guys are up for that. So Chloe's asking, what genres / styles and tropes do you see emerging as defining factors unifying this generation of film?
A deep question.
It's a very good question.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I see a lot of, it's kind of funny because it's everything, but I see a lot more experimental film kind of than ever before. I think even just because everyone can have access to things to create films, so really you don't have to. There's not a thing where you have to follow the rules of a genre. But otherwise, I don't know. I can't really think of. I think I would see what the other guys think about maybe specific genres. But certainly, there's a lot of experimental film and just kind of trying to push the boundaries of what you can do with the camera.
I would probably say, and this might be a hot take, but I would probably say comedy. And I know it's not like film, but like just seeing things like how like unbelievably popular like TikTok is, and like just like the format that has created for comedy. I think that especially now when everyone has had such a horrendous year, and
Yeah.
it's so hard to find something to laugh at. I mean, I try to do this in my own work, but just creating things that could maybe hopefully put a smile on someone's face or make someone laugh. Just because I feel like there's definitely not enough of that in the world right now, and that definitely is something that brings people together in a time where they...
Yeah, I agree.
Super accurate, yeah.
I agree with both of you really like a lot. I agree with experimental film, and I also agree really hard with I agree really hard with it. No, I agree. I agree with both. I think like both are really important. I think someone that's doing more experimental film and also comedy is someone like Harmony Korine, who made he's still making funny. He made The Beach Bum, which was like a really funny stoner comedy that still had like a bunch of like experimental aspects of it. And I don't know. I hope like there hasn't been a good, like I think the thing that's on my list to do one day is like to make a comedy that like subverts our generation's like thoughts of what a comedy is and what it could be, because like we haven't had like a big budget, really not big budget, but like we haven't had like a movie theater released comedy in a while. Like Booksmart was like the last one where everyone was talking about it, but I mean before that, like it felt like tons of stuff was always being released, and I think that might have just been the height of the like early 2000s, and going into like mid 2000s. I think This Is the End was like the last like kind of like theater blockbuster comedy that we all saw, and there's still ones, but I'm excited to see like what the next generation, like what our generation will bring to the screen comedy wise. That's something that I'd really like to do one day.
Okay, I have another audience question. Allie's asking, if you had the opportunity to make an adaptation of any series, film, or book, what would it be?
Wow.
Ooh.
Whoa. I was talking about this one the other day. There's a awesome like heist movie from the 70s called The Hot Rock that I think like would be a really cool like remake, and I think there's like a lot of like really funny comedy in it too, so I think like that could be a really fun heist movie gone wrong. But also, I don't know, I think The Hot Rock could be cool to do. But I mean, there's been like awesome remakes that I think when a remake does well or a sequel does well is when like I was saying before, like subverts the audience's like what they think it's going to be, and that's why I think there's so many like Gremlins 2 has a huge cult following because it was a completely different movie from Gremlins 1, and when it came out it was a total bomb, and now everyone loves it. And now I think like people have more patience to like see weird like creative reimaginings of things. But I'm not sure what you guys think about that.
Yeah, totally. I think there's a couple books I've read like that I've just thought could make great movies. I don't know if I can really pick one, but I would love to take something and completely put a 180 on it. I think that would be really entertaining, and I think it would also like there's some things where like, well, I know at least in books they've done things. I've never really seen it in a film where in books they've sometimes done a thing where they've taken well, I'm sure there are films that do this, but they actually take like different chapters, travel with different people, even to the point of sometimes where they tell the same story like several different times just from each different person's perspective, and something like that, regardless of like whatever specific specific story. I just think that'd be an awesome film to make if you tied it all together really well. Yeah.
I don't know if this really counts, but I'm a huge video game nerd, so like I would love to make animations involving video game characters, or like short animations for video games or something like that.
Yeah, there needs to be an incredible like video game movie.
Oh yeah, Wreck-It Ralph, but like.
But that like wasn't one. Like that was like yeah, it was, but it wasn't like there needs to be like a good based off a video game.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, Lije, what video game would you specifically want to adapt? Like, is one close to your heart that?
Yeah, I think my favorite game of all time is a game called Katamari Damacy, and you're like a little green intergalactic prince, and you go and roll up like a ball full of stuff. And it has, there's not really any way to explain it. It's like a very absurdist, surrealist game. But it has ridiculous dialogue that has been translated from Japanese that I think would make for hysterical animation. So yeah.
That's cool.
Weston?
For the film thing?
What would you adapt? Like,
what
would be your dream adaptation?
Answer to kind of an overall adaptation to be cool. If I have to choose off the top of my head, oh man, I mean, like, it would probably change tomorrow, but there was a series of, I just think it would work well. There was a series of books I read when I was really young. I actually read them like with my brother. I got read them by my parents. They were called The Mysterious Benedict Society. And it's like, it wasn't like anything overtly funny, but it had some really interesting characters and was in a world that was obviously really stylized, and I think could be translated well to film. But yeah. I don't have a great answer for that at this time. But, yeah.
I have another question from an audience member. So Jax is asking, what was one of the most stressful days you had on set, or I guess animating? You guys could expand on that.
I mean, I definitely know right off the bat, it was my thesis presentation day. I had all of the animation done. It was like completely finished, and it just didn't render out in time. And
oh no.
And so my animation is like 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and I had stuff rendering on my laptop, on my desktop, on my friends' computers, and it was so stressful. And I got there, and they gave me 3 minutes to present my thesis. And so, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I only had about 3 minutes of stuff rendered out. And I showed them what I had, and they loved it. And so definitely the most stressful day by far that I had, but ended up somehow working out.
I've definitely been there with getting screwed over by renders. But yeah, that's probably for me, I mean, I shot the thing in I had 2.5 days to shoot it, the whole film. So it wasn't as rushed as it could have been, I guess. But being a super indie film anyways, it was really rushed. But probably the most stressful day was the day that we filmed the trampoline scene, because especially at that time, I really did not have a lot of confidence in my acting ability. And I was the second day of the shoot and stuff. So I was having to, I knew that scene was going to be something that I just had to do really well. Because I also wasn't even really happy with how it was written. So that was kind of stressful in that whole day was, that was kind of looming over. And then when I got there, I had to kind of trust the other people who were there with me, that they were just going to execute the vision while I had to be there trying to get into the character headspace. Because that was a constant battle all through the shoot of trying to, being in front of the camera and being behind the camera at the same time. But yeah.
Was it trickier to say acting and getting in the headspace, or trying to do that while managing other people, would you say?
Well, that was the interesting thing is eventually I really hadn't had that much experience as an actor. As far as headspace goes, I think that I eventually had to kind of just tunnel vision for that scene. But otherwise, yeah, I was never really, I don't think there was a single time except for that scene where I was able to actually fully shut off, which wasn't the best thing, obviously, I think, but it was it's an excellent practice at multitasking, and yeah.
That's really cool that you took it. I mean, you did everything and put everything into your own hands. I think that's really noble. I was really lucky to have a few people that were helping me out, and like especially the actors. The actors are two of my best friends, and so it was like performance wise, it wasn't that hard because they had they kind of knew. But I think the hardest part was definitely the opening shot where it's moving through the that we showed earlier, the clip where it's moving through the I don't know, I forgot what the shelves.
The aisles?
Yeah, the aisles. The
okay.
aisles. And it gets to Billy, and then it whips to Artoon, and it whips back to Billy, and he's already out of frame. He's under the thing, and so that was definitely the hardest to coordinate, because we had to start Artoon outside, so we had to have someone like tap Artoon's shoulder to go inside. And like by the time we whipped off of Billy had to be like under the desk, fully under, else we'd be able to see him, like the top of his head. And like we did it a few times, and I could see the crew kind of just be like, oh no, like this is gonna take forever. And it was the same tunnel vision thing where we had like a few hours left, and I just like super, like everyone was super focused, and like I just went in and was like Billy, duck down really fast, like just and like I had to like go and like talk to him, so yeah, it was one of those moments, I think, where like it was do or die kind of, and you know, because we would have been stuck on that all day, but I was adamant on like getting it, so that was definitely like the most stressful thing. And then like once we got it, like it didn't take that long, but like it wasn't happening for the first few takes. Like I think the fourth take, I think people started to like start sweating, and then I could see that everyone was starting to sweat, and I was like, okay, this is like, we can't have this right now this early. And so I somehow figured it out, and then once we did it on like the fifth or sixth take, everyone was so much more like relaxed, because the rest of it is like on sticks mostly, and then some handheld at the end. But yeah.
Okay, I have another audience question. If we could scroll down just a little bit, because there's a good one that. Okay, Allie's asking, do you want your next project to be a feature-length movie or short film again? For all of you.
Depends if anyone wants to give us money. Like, totally. I mean, you know, I love making films, so however I could keep making them. I don't care if it's short or a movie, but I'd love to make a feature. I'm sure, there's a lot of things that I'd like to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, probably pretty similarly for me. I would love to get to make a feature. Realistically, though, for me, I'm probably looking at it be more of a short at this time. I also think shorts are great practice because they involve kind of the most concise filmmaking you'll ever really have to do. I think it's a great space to also get way better at learning how to tell a story with a camera and stuff. So for me, it'll probably be a short, but in the future, I'd love to do features.
I kind of take this question as like either another short or maybe like a 30-minute pilot or something, just because the idea of ever doing a fully animated feature is way too overwhelming for me.
I was gonna say, I was like, also like a music video would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I would love to work with like some writers and like actors, like voice actors, and like a full proper team to like work on like a pilot or something. Like I think that would be really fun. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of comes down to like the funding and finding the people.
Lige, did you voice everyone in your short?
No, I I voiced the fish, and I voiced that like weird, creepy little alien goop thing. I did that like,
cool.
very last minute in my bathroom, and that's like the only part of this short that like I still like. I just kind of hate it because I wish.
Yeah, well, I think that's the craziest voice in the film.
Sweet. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was awesome because I got to work with like all my friends who just do goofy voices, and they had like a recording studio at school, so got set up there and
awesome.
Okay, we have 5 minutes left, so I guess that gives us time for one more question. And Rachel and John are asking if you have any tips for young filmmakers. What would those be?
Make films.
Yeah.
Don't just talk about it. Actually start making things.
Yeah, no matter what, if you think like there's a really weird thing, which is like what I thought for a really long time, which is like, oh, if it's shot on whatever, like it's not going to look this way, it's not going to look a certain way, but it's like whatever you have that records video, just use it because like it gives you practice through everything. Yeah, I don't know. I think especially like just thinking about if you have something that records video and you have yourself and you want to make films and like let's say you don't have like a lot of people around you to like film yourself, like even if you don't have a lot of confidence, like it just makes you better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Those are, yeah. I think too, like if you know that you're really interested in it, like what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you go out and do it? It's so important. I think part of the things that I know, like as far as like actual advice might go, like the one thing I see that makes films stand out the most is story. It's super fun to get to make something that's really cinematic or things like that. But those are things that when you add a really strong foundation of story into that mix, people won't miss your film. And that's definitely most important to me. I think of, I'll stop talking really quick here, but I think of one other quote. I was watching Mark Duplass's South by Southwest keynote speech, where he talks about the fact that the cavalry isn't coming. And he was talking about like saying that kind of, well, I mean, Finn's over here, but like that you don't always get to really get a big break. Like, because the thing is like if you love to do it, filmmaking doesn't really change. Like it's always going to be you making projects. You just get to do it on a bigger scale. So if you love making projects, go out and start making projects.
Yeah, I think quickly, like what Weston was saying, I got super lucky. You know, I wanted to make films when I was really young, and I ended up getting a tape for this show, and it ended up doing well, and it felt like a fluke. And to me, the feeling I have on set is the same feeling that I had from when I was really young on my first set. And so, you know, even if I wasn't successful as an actor, I feel like I would still be doing low budget films. And I still, but quickly, I think a thing for everyone to watch is there's this documentary called South Park 6 Days to Air, and it's how Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they write, animate, and produce and direct a South Park episode in 6 days. And it's about the writer and how they write story, because the biggest part about South Park is like, you remember the big jokes and the funny gags, but it's like they really care about story and 3-act structure and how things move, how story moves, and it's really inspiring. So anyone that's out there that like is interested in story, I think they should watch that.
I totally second watching that, and just really quickly would also add to like just not be afraid to reach out to people who you look up to and people who you see as an inspiration. Just because having done that myself, people, this is again maybe a hot take, but people tend to be nice and they tend to be wanting to help. And so if you reach out and you tell them that you love their work and you're looking for feedback or anything, odds are they'll write back and they'll be willing to help and give you
yeah. And the worst that can happen with that is either they say no or they don't see it. And it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
there's nothing embarrassing about that, you know. They have their own lives, and but yeah, it's worth it just to reach out.
Yeah, totally. And I think I feel like that audacity to reach out will speak volumes. I'm actually I'm looking at doing some of that myself too, like just getting to not deciding for yourself that you have to stay where you are. I also just getting to work with people. I had a great team for my film, and it's one of the best joys is trying to find people who you can work with. Even if you don't feel like they understand what you understand about film, people are excited to be a part of something, even if it's your next door neighbor. And also just being on a film set with people is like the greatest bonding experience ever. It's so much fun.
Beautiful. Do we have time for one more question?
I'm good.
Yep. Okay. So Annie and Ramsey are asking, which other young filmmakers do you think we should look out for? Who's on your radar?
Young filmmakers.
One of my favorite animators right now is someone who just graduated, and I think his name is Jack Wedge. His Instagram is Jackass Wedge. He makes really, really cool 3D art, and I mean, he just graduated and he's already collaborating with really big names out there, and he has a super unique style. Would definitely recommend checking out his work.
I don't know. I mean, there's Xavier Dolan, who is famously made got into Cannes at 19 and stuff. So
Canadian.
Canadian, yeah. And I don't know. I know tons of people through. Yeah, I mean, I love. There's this guy on Instagram. I have a mutual friend with named Jack Kendall, who has really, really cool art. I don't know if he makes shorts or anything, but his cartoons are incredible. There's also a guy who makes YouTube videos. I'm not sure how old he is, but his name is Jack Stauber. He's pretty famous. He has these really cool animations that I'm sure, and he has a really famous song. I guess now it's big on TikTok or whatever. But I mean, yeah, there's also I'm friends with a guy named Joshua Valle, who's been making films for a long time, and he has an incredible comedic mind and will, I think, be an amazing filmmaker. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like these guys probably know a lot more than I do. I haven't gotten to collaborate with a lot of other people my age. Usually I've always been kind of the youngest person on my set, except for some of the friends I've made films with before. But yeah, I think, I'm sorry, I don't really have a lot of specific names, but I'm sure that there's a lot more to come from people on this panel. I'm super excited about what these guys are doing. Yeah.
That's great. I think it's time to sign off. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us, and thank you guys for being here. Congratulations on your projects, and I'm genuinely excited to see what you guys come up with next.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
See you in the
Bye.
movie.